My name is Joe Weichert, and right now I'm doing consulting in the industry. I'm also taking on other longer-term projects, and with Tools of Change just having closed down, it's opened up all sorts of new opportunities for me to look to pursue. So Hugh McGuire had reached out to us at O'Reilly a couple of years ago and said that he wanted to pull this together, and it would be a compilation of articles and chapter-length pieces from a lot of icons in the industry. And it was an opportunity not only to work with Hugh and the great team of authors that he had assembled, but also a chance to try out his Pressbooks platform, which is what it was written within. And then we were able to use it and pull it in directly from Pressbooks into O'Reilly's production system.
So in a way, it was an experiment between the compatibility of Pressbooks and the O'Reilly system, and I assume that went well.
It went really well, and I think it was great for Pressbooks too, because they had not done a whole lot of tests up to that point, so they wanted to be able to prove that they could output the various formats that publishers need.
And you mentioned about future books. Where do you think we're heading to, and is it different from where you think heading to, or?
Yeah, I think, and this is all speculation, but I really feel like we are in the very early stages of ebooks today, and publishers have gotten comfortable with just taking a print product and rendering it in digital. I mean, the expression that's used often is just print under glass, and I think that sums it up well. The analogy I like to use is from television. And they talk about in the very early days of television, most of those shows were nothing more than radio programs in front of a camera. And I think that's where we are with ebooks today, that 5-10 years from now, we will look back and realize that, boy, that was such an early stage, and there was so much transformation yet to come in front of us. And so I think things like richer content, and also even formats, so EPUB and MOBI, which I feel are valuable and useful today. I think we're heading towards a world where HTML5 is simply the platform that the books are read on, and it's all done within a browser instead of a separate reading app.
So what I'm getting is the significance or importance of the book is not just the content or what you hold on, but also the way it was produced and edited and delivered and the price. I know there's 3 different price structures. How important this book, this whole project, is for the publishing industry, in your opinion?
Well, I think, first of all, the most important part of this project is I think it brings together so much insight and knowledge and projections for the future that it can be a very inspiring book to read. And it may inspire ideas that the authors never even envisioned when they wrote their chapters, right? So I think that's probably the most important takeaway for this, is that everybody in publishing should read it just so that they can get familiar and maybe open their eyes up to different directions where the industry can be heading. Well, we've got a couple things working on. First of all, I've taken on some consulting projects individually with other publishers and other players in the ecosystem. We're also, though, Kat Meyer, who is the other program chair for TOC, and I are working together to spin up a new venture that will fill a lot of the void left behind by TOC. We're focusing on the startup community because we feel like that's really where the need is. We also feel like the innovation is happening mostly in the startup space. So what we want to do is create something that allows startups to be better introduced to publishers, and publishers to engage with those startups.
Is it sort of like, can I imagine it as a Y Combinator for the publishing industry?
Sort of. I mean, we've talked about possibly having an accelerator component to it. What we want to start with, though, is an online platform for the community, right? So something that's by the community for the community, and have the same type of dialogue happening that have been happening within TOC. We also want to have an in-person event as part of it, too.
Is it any related with, we had the announcement of our new publishing platform from O'Reilly, Atlas? Does it have anything to do with it?
No, totally separate. So Atlas is part of O'Reilly, and what we're starting up is completely separate from O'Reilly.
Okay. So you guys are on the same vision, but on a separate path right now.
Well, Atlas is nothing more than a platform, an authoring and content management platform. And what we're looking to spin up is really a platform for community, to bring startups and publishers together to talk about all of the transformation that's happening within publishing today.
How do you planning to, gather community of readers and authors, and that seems to be that problem many services having a difficult time starting up.
Right, and even though I think we'll have some readers and authors that will certainly be involved in what we're describing and starting up, the target audience that we have is really the publishing community and the startups and the founders and members of those startups. So this is more of a business play than it is necessarily a reader play. But you're right, I think that companies that are trying to engage more with their readers have that challenge that you're talking about.
So it's more like a community of publishers instead of just readers. I mean,
Yes.
that distinction is becoming very broad, but it's more. Can I understand as a? I mean, this might not be the good example of LinkedIn and more like a Facebook, more general and more business specific.
Yeah, I think, but so yeah, LinkedIn versus Facebook is probably a really good comparison actually. So if you think of LinkedIn, you think of more professionals that are trying to further their career. In this case, the platform that we're spinning up is all about helping the publishing community advance. So going beyond the print under glass that I was talking about before and embrace more of the future of what digital can provide.
Do you have a name for the project?
That's a great question. We do not have, we've been through a few names and we're still working on a good name for it. So if you have any ideas, let us know.